अनजानी रास्तों से पश्मीना धागों से पश्मीना धागों से बुना एक ख्वाब हूं मैं। सुरताल से बिछड़ा एक गजल का राग हूं मैं। जो शब्दों में कहा ना जा सके वो एहसास हूं मैं। सुध बुध खो के पलकों में उलझा जो कैद एक मलांग हूं मैं। बूंद बूंद आंसुओं से लिपटा चांद सा दाग हूं मैं। पश्मीना धागों से बुना एक अकेला ख्वाब हूं मैं।
What truly matters is that who you are, but it matters that how do you show up. CityY is not just a podcast, it is a platform where young voices can be heard, and it's a space where youth of India speaks and the people who loves them listens them. So, hello everyone, welcome to the new episode of Catch Them Young Season 2. Presenting today Eris Tamang, who is from Serene Hills of Darjeeling and has shifted to the dynamic streets of Delhi, though he is residing right now in Gurgaon. But his journey speaks about his strength, his adaptability, and the purpose. He is a student of RAN International School, Vasant Kunj, and Iris is more than just the academics. He is a thinker, he is a debater, a guitarist, and a silent observer. Apart from that, Iris is a proud Gorkha. He is determined to wear the uniform one fine day, and he is in the process. He has already taken the pride and led it and participated in RDC Parade 2025, a moment of pride, discipline, and dedication. He is an NCC cadet today, but a protector of nation tomorrow. So let's dive into the discussions. We should speak about his story of dreams, his passions, and the fire within him. So let's welcome Eris Tamang. Hi, Eris. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. So, Eris, can you please introduce yourself in the show?
Ma'am, firstly, I'm extremely delighted to be here, being in front of you, playing interview. It's truly an honor, and
Thank
I'm
you so
doing good.
much.
Yes, ma'am. I've been excited for this since a long time since you contacted me. And hi, I'm Eris Tamang, and I'm from Darjeeling. And I've been in Delhi since half a decade, and it's been quite a journey for me. And I'm very, happy to share with you guys.
So, Eris, whatever you have told about yourself, I have many questions with you, and I guess I'm more excited than you to speak about your passions and dreams. So, let's start with some of the tough questions. Eris, I just think that discipline is often glorified. So you have to be honest and let me know that does it actually give you freedom or quietly it takes it away?
Ma'am, I think discipline is subjective, and while it does give you, certain limitations, I think ultimately what you wish to do in life, it has to be regimented and it has to be in a certain schedule. So if you don't have a discipline in your life, I think it just takes the meaning away from freedom, because I think if you certainly believe that you have freedom, then it means you can do certain things at will and move as you please, move as your mind pleases, not your heart. So I think discipline and freedom go hand in hand, and I think discipline does not take freedom away from you.
So do you enjoy the discipline in your student life?
Yes, ma'am, I certainly do. Although there are some things that I dislike sometimes, but I think it's an important part for us students to play as well. Because when we're in a certain institution, I think it's very important for us to follow certain rules, and I think that is what discipline is for us, and it teaches a lot to us in life.
And certainly it makes you the one which you wants to become. Because
Right. Yeah.
mostly the children of this age are, you know, and if I say they are into many things. So जहाँ पे एक बोलते हैं दिल लगना दिल लग के काम करना वो थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट हो जाता है so that's why the very first question is all about discipline. A student should be determined और जो पैशन है उसको पूरी तरीके से उन्हें कन्वर्ट करना चाहिए अपने फ्यूचर गोल्स के लिए so it is you want to join the army. Okay, so I want to know that what truly pulls you in, the uniform, the purpose, or the sheer challenge. Okay. And when the whole world is chasing about money, so what does Matrubhumi, the motherland, and what will be your contribution as a future officer?
Right. Yes, man. I think in today's world, as you know, time is moving fast. I think as we've seen so many financial crises upcoming these days, it would truly be, I'd say, negligent of me to say that money comes last. But at the very same time, as you said, there is challenge, there's a uniform, and there's a love for our Matri our motherland. So it's, I think, a mix of all those things that pulls me in. And truly, I think if a person doesn't have a purpose in life, then life isn't worth living, and that is what I've gone by. And ever since I was young, I've seen many of my fellow acquaintances, my cousins, they've been in the army, and seeing them
Okay.
come home with a sense of purpose, it brings like a sense of nationalism. It just sparks in me, and I think that has pulled me in for you know, um, and especially the point that contributing to this country and to the safekeeping of our people, I think that's the most important thing that matters to me. That's why I think it's going to happen.
That's a very wonderful idea. And I guess इस तरीके के जो भी आपके पैशंस हैं या इस तरह का जो आपका एक मोटो है ऑफ लाइफ, उसको थोड़ा सा एक बल देने के लिए, इसको स्ट्रेंथन करने के लिए मैंने ऐसा देखा है कि लोग ऐसी एरियाज में, ऐसे कैंटोनमेंट्स में जाकर के थोड़ा सा जाकर के अपने को और पुल करते हैं, उनको और स्ट्रेंथन मिलती है कि whatever we want to become, we should visit those places off and on. उससे उनको एक इंस्पिरेशन हमेशा आती है. So, putting the question forward, so it is as I told earlier that you are a Gorkha, और Gorkhas में armed forces को join करने की हमेशा से तमन्ना रहती है. But in recent time, what I have seen and what everyone has seen, that people who are coming from hilly areas, even if I say I come from Kumaon, my base is from Kumaon, but we have been to different cities at the passage of time. But that is not just geographical, it is cultural too. So, what is your opinion about racial slurs? And how do you understand that? And how do you experience them personally?
Right. Yes, ma'am. So my personal experience towards racial slurs has been, I'd say, not quite different. It has affected me as well. And, shifting from the hills to mainlands, Delhi, a place like Delhi, it's quite a big difference, right? And while I was living in Darjeeling, I think there was not a lot of emphasis on certain things like race and all that stuff. So when you come to Delhi, for me personally, what I've seen is people put a lot of emphasis on that stuff, that you're an outsider or something like that. And, they call you names and it's not quite pleasant. But that has been part of life, and it has affected me. But I'd say it hasn't come to me as a setback, but rather an experience which has helped me learn to deal with such things, because life isn't always going to be a piece of cake, right? It's going to have some turbulences. So I think it has helped me learn to become a better person and, to be resilient. And I think the mindset here that people carry is that, not, I won't speak for all, but I think some or many carries that India is sort of a monolith. It's people think it's still the ancient times, it's still backward, but I think India is moving quite it's taken a big leap forward, and people need to drop that mindset, because at the end of the day, we who come from the hills, we who come from, the northeast, or as you said, you are a Kumoni as well.
Correct?
It's quite a pleasure. Yeah, it's quite a pleasure to be a part of such a diverse country. But at the very same time, having to face such things as an Indian ourselves, it's quite, unpleasant, and it's not very nice. So I have been called names. I have faced a lot of racial discrimination, I might say, not to that extent, but at the very same time, it's there. So I'd say it is present, but it's just about how I've dealt with it and how I've emerged as a better person after all of it.
So, do you have some suggestions for those people who use these type of slangs and try to, put us down?
Now, I think the people who involve themselves in such things have a superiority complex, and um, I think it's a stereotype that many people carry. And getting rid of it won't be easy, because it's been passed down since decades and decades. I think before I even came to Delhi, so it's not an easy fix. But I think it starts with education firstly, and it spreads, as more awareness spreads about these things, I think these things will improve steadily. It will take time, but yeah, it's a slow process.
But sometimes there is, I just think, because while I'm talking to you about this, I have a, very strong perception about few things. People who are living in plains, most of my lifetime has been spent in plains, and my childhood was there in Kumau, but there are few things which the geography has, given us. Like people who are in mountains, who lives in mountains, have comparatively small eyes, but people who are living in plains have broader chin, a broader face. So how does it make a difference? Because I also got that opportunity to speak about it right now. I really condemn this, and the question was, I know it was very outright, but it should come from the horse's mouth. So people should understand how a person can feel when they are being discriminated in between the society.
I think I really respect you for bringing this topic up, because it's, I think people think it's quite sensitive, but it's very important that it's discussed upon. And I think at the end of the day, whether a person has small eyes or broader chin, or
Correct.
bigger cheeks or whatever, I think it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we all belong to the same land and we all have a common identity, and we shouldn't
Correct.
forget that. While we understand that, many people don't, and I think that is the main agenda that we should hold up. That this stereotyping and this mindset is what we need to get rid of, because small eyes and big eyes don't make a difference. Your perception
Correct.
does.
Yes. So, it is, what are your area of interests?
And I like to explore quite a lot, and I venture out towards music, and I've written a lot of poetry as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I play the guitar, I play the bass guitar as well, and uh, I play the electric guitar as well. And I think the previous year I ventured out towards, I really took an interest towards Kavali, so I started playing the harmonium as well.
Well,
And other than that, I think I'm a big fan of reading. I've recently picked it up since I had a lot of free time. So yes, those
mm-hmm.
are all my interests.
Yeah. So again, adding on, one should know that people who hails from, hilly areas have a greater interest in music and culture, and they have a deep roots from their places. As you told that you are so good in instruments and music, so one should understand कि जो भी पहाड़ी एरियाज है वहाँ पे आपको हीरे मिलेंगे, वहां पे आपको पत्थर नहीं मिलेंगे. सो रिस्पेक्ट देम एंड उनको आइडेंटिफाई करो एंड try to make a place for them in the society. So as you told right now, it is that you are a poet. So would you be able to recite any of your poem right now? Do you remember?
Now I don't have them by heart, but I have written one in my diary. If I could read it out for
Please.
you.
Yeah, sure.
I write in both English and Hindi. I'd love to recite a poem. I've written it in
In
Hindi.
Hindi.
It's called Pashmina.
Yeah,
Yes, it's called Pashmina.
Pashmina.
So it goes, अनजानी रास्तों से पश्मीना धागों से पश्मीना धागों से बुना एक ख्वाब हूं मैं सुरताल से बिछड़ा एक गजल का राग हूं मैं जो शब्दों में कहा ना जा सके वो एहसास हूं मैं सुध बुध खो के पलकों में उलझा जो कैद एक मलांग हूं मैं बूंद बूंद आंसुओं से लिपटा चांद सा दाग हूं मैं पश्मीना धागों से बुना एक अकेला ख्वाब हूं मैं.
Wow, it's wonderfully written, so intrinsic,
I'm flattered, man. Thank you so much.
कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशन. बहुत अच्छी पोएट्री है, और बहुत ही, आई वुड से कि बहुत गुड भी है. गुड मीन्स बहुत इंट्रेंसिक है.
Thank you, Mark.
सो अदर देन म्यूजिक, इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, पोएट्री, what are your favorite subjects in your school?
I'm not a fan of science nor maths, but I take a lot of interest in history and political science. I think those are my areas of interest academy.
Okay, So, as you told earlier, as you have written in your introduction, that you are not a fan of maths and science. So, I have a tricky question for you. That if sine theta is divided by cos theta and the resultant is tan theta, so what could be the value of sine theta and what does it mean to you?
Mathematically speaking, from what I recall from my board exam preparations,
Hmm?
um, mathematically, if we take away the cos theta to the other side, if we transfer it, it becomes, sine theta and tan theta divided. But I think if we take a deeper look into it, what it basically means is, I think what I take away from that equation is that we shouldn't take things at face value because sine theta upon cos theta was just tan, but then when we take it away from it, it becomes something else. So yeah, I think it's more of a relationship rather than a direct answer.
Correct. My answer would be the same. A week in maths doesn't decline your value. And what you are not going to understand, don't put your head into that. Move on and take other things in your process. And people like me who are not good in maths, उनको कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि what does it mean sin theta is divided by cos theta. Okay, so build yourself, focus in your focus on other subjects. Maths के साथ रिश्ता इसके साथ ही खत्म.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So I have just thought कि मैं ये क्वेश्चन तुमसे जरूर पूछूंगी बट अभी ये क्वेश्चन खत्म नहीं हुआ. आगे का क्वेश्चन ये है बिकॉज यू हैव चूजन ह्यूमैनिटीज. सो फॉर एन आर्ट स्टूडेंट, what do you think that the life is being sorted in the senior classes, or it is just a myth कि after taking humanities you feel better, and does it really mean lesser pressure to you?
Ma'am, I think whatever field a student wishes to study in, it's more of their personal interest and what they're good at academically. So let's say I'm inclined towards more of polity and history, right? So if
Hmm.
I venture out towards those subjects, it'll be more easier for me to comprehend. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It just means that I'll have interest in it. So I don't feel like it's draining me out. I'm having a burnout. Let's say I study science instead of humanities. I don't understand anything in grade 10, so I don't imagine myself studying it further. So that is what I think it's more about your personal interest rather than thinking that it's going to be sorted. Because if you can't focus on the subject that you're going to study, I don't think you'll be able to make it far.
That's great. So how you are spending your free time right now, because in few days the new session will start.
Right, yes, ma'am. I've been going out with my friends. Recently, a friend of mine, we studied together till class 10. She's moved to Mumbai, so I spent some time with her as well. Because, um, so I spent some time with her and I've spent some time sketching and I've written a few more pieces. And since I fractured my hand, I couldn't play the guitar, so I didn't focus on that. I've just been sketching. I've just been hanging out with friends, listening to music and all that. Just chilling at home.
Is it just sketching, or you are into color games and all? But are you, trying to paint something?
No, ma'am, it's more of just pencil sketching. It's just I just sketch on
Pencil
paper.
sketching. Okay. So you sing and you play guitar and you write lyrics. So out of three, which one feels you the most you and why?
Now I'd say writing the lyrics for anything that I compose, it comes the most naturally to me because I find solace and peace and expressing myself through it. Because um, when I was studying in 10th grade, I read this chapter about Anne Frank and how she jotted down everything she experienced in the diary, and I found myself to be in a similar situation because whenever I am let's say I'm overwhelmed, let's say I'm like brain fog, I always tend to write things down because it helps me clear my mind, calm me down. So whenever I'm writing something, when I'm composing something, I always feel like writing comes the most naturally to me.
Okay, so have you composed, like given rhythm to any of your poems or any of your writings?
I wrote a melody for a song. I have it on my phone. I wrote a melody for
Okay,
a song on my guitar.
okay. So are you available in social media as well, where you have put all your compositions?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
You
Not
haven't.
active.
Okay.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
great. Never mind. Because people of your age or of your generation are nowadays into social media. That's a very simple question to ask for.
Right, yes.
So first, we will start about your journey as a NCC cadet. People who are a cadet or a scout or a guide, they have a different personality, and I think it should be essential in every school. So beyond discipline, what kind of human do these type of activities actually shape?
Now, from my very personal experience, in my school, when I first enrolled for NCC, until now, we have a guide, Tushar se, and he teaches us every step of the way. And the most important thing beyond discipline that I've learned throughout my years as an NCC cadet is leadership and cooperation with people that you work with. Because whenever you go somewhere, I think the most practical and the most real life experience or a trait that you can possess is leadership and how you can cooperate with someone at any given moment. Because life's not gonna hand you anything on a silver platter. You have to work for it, and you have to go through the turbulences that it has to offer. So
Uh,
yeah, I think leadership and cooperation are the two values that come with.
so what type of camps you have, attended till yet, and um, how you will suggest others to join these type of activities?
Um, I went for my A certificate camp, the first camp that I went to. It was a 14-day camp, and after that, I went to the main RDC, Republic Day camp, and that was a 6 month long journey. So it was quite long, and I'm dying to elaborate and tell you what my experience is. So yeah, there were 6 months of regular camps after my A certificate camp. So and
Uh,
I think it included the Prime Minister's rally as well. So that was that.
Okay. So, see, when I talk about RDC, when I came to know that you have participated at RDC, so it actually gave me goosebumps. I have to speak to you about it. It's such a moment that every person, every student, and their parents would be proud of. They just wait for the day जब उनको RDC परेड का हिस्सा बनने को मिलता है. There are many in I would say industry, in any industry. The recent one I came to know about, the Mohan sisters, the eldest one who is a singer, she has participated in RDC parade. So you can even tell about your experience and the whole journey apart from being an NCC cadet. What was the experience? How did your family felt about it?
All right. So the journey for RDC began not I'd not say like the previous year when I attended RDC, but rather when I first joined the school. So when I first joined the school, I did not plan to be a part of NCC. In fact, I did not even know about NCC. But while I was leaving the assembly hall, the amphitheater, a teacher approached me and she said, "Eris, you're a new admission, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." And then she told me that you should be a part of NCC. And I'm like, "Ma'am, I'm not aware about it." And she said, "I feel like you're fit for it." So that was where it began. And as I went through 2 years of being a cadet in school, I did not think that an opportunity would come my way, but it eventually did, and it came very unexpectedly. So I first gave my audition for RDC around the month of October, previous year October. No, it was, yeah, I think it was previous year October. Yeah.
2024.
Yes, ma'am, for 2024 October. So
Hmm.
I gave my first auditions there. I wasn't sure because I think there are four or three provisions under RDC from which you can participate. There's Best Cadet, there's cultural, and then there's flag area.
Hmm.
So I applied for Best Cadet. I gave the written exam, and well, I'm not very academically inclined, so I could pass that. But then I went for the cultural selection, and thanks to my guitar, I passed the auditions, the first round, then the second round, then the third round. There were a total of, I think, 4 or 5 rounds of audition. And the amount of people who came in kept decreasing each time. So I thought it was going to be me the next time. Maybe it's going to be the next time. But then eventually, after all the auditions came through, I went for the first camp. I finally got the roll call sheet for my auditions. And then I saw my name there. So I was quite happy. So the first camp came. It was a 14-day camp in Safdarjung. I think it's the C Group headquarters. So we were there. The first camp, 14 days, totally amazing. It was a new experience for me because I hadn't been in, such a regimented lifestyle. Waking up at 5 in the morning, doing PE and, running around the whole field, it was a new experience. So that was there. Then after each camp, what I got to know is that there's going to be elimination. So from each camp, so after the first camp, there's a total of 128. There was a total of 128 allocations. The amount of seats that can go for RDC from one director. That was our director, Delhi. So
Mm.
in order to fulfill that, they have to shortlist a lot of kids. So it was quite tough competition, and I always had a fear in my mind that, oh, I've come so far. What if they kick me out the next camp? But
Mm.
then camps went by. The third one was in Rohini, and the main headquarters that is in Rohini, we were there. And when I reached that stage of the RDC preparations, I just knew that it's either all in or all out because either it's going to be me participating in RDC or me not being there at all. So that camp was significant and it was very fun because I think that was the time when we got the most off from our activities. So it was very
Mm.
fun. And then the last camp, we were all together, and it was the last minute, and it was quite unexpected to see just about one or two of the cadets getting shortlisted at the end moment. So I felt quite bad for them. But that is how competitive RDC is, and it
Yeah.
takes a lot of, I'd say, not just skill, but I think it's on your personality, it's on your skills, it's on a lot of, I mean, I'd credit a lot to my luck as well. So it's all there. Those are all factors. And a very interesting thing that happened to me during my RDC was that I got bit by a snake
Oh.
when we were practicing. Right, yes. So that happened, and I was rushed to the hospital, and I don't know how many injections they put in me, but after 2, 3 days, I got back to camp, and it was a slow and steady recovery, but I made it. So that was that. Then there was a final month of RDC. It was January when we had finally made it into Delhi camp, and we were finally in the official grounds for Republic Day camp. So it was just the most amazing feeling ever. And as I mentioned in my introduction, that I was a part of the cultural team.
Mm.
So there were three events from the cultural team. Those were composite dance, group dance, and group song. So I was a part of all three of them. And very fortunately, I got to be a host for the group dance as well. So it was a wonderful experience all in all. The first 3 days of the camp were our initial days where we had to perform because as soon as the camp started, the cultural events were lined up. So the 2nd of Jan, the 3rd of Jan, and the 4th of Jan, there were composite dance, group dance, and so it was quite hectic, but it was worth the wait because we had practiced so much for it. So it was very awesome.
So, all these events happened in Rohini,
No, these happened in Delhi camp. Rohini was
Delhi
our
camp.
preparation
Okay,
camp.
preparation camp. Okay. So, how about that RDC parade, the finale? What was the moment and what was the, enthusiasm inside you? Because, presenting yourself in front of so many visitors, so many people, and then you are taking a pride on your shoulders. So, what was that?
Now, personally, it just, whenever I think about that time, it sends jitters throughout my body because I was just so excited and so, thankful to be there on the stage. Because, there was so much rush behind the backstage because we had to settle the props ourselves. First,
Mm.
we were given 3 minutes to settle the props and then perform and then take out the props within the given time. So it was
Mm-hmm.
hectic, but it was, all worth it because all our preparation, all our hard work, it all came down to 5 minutes on the stage. So that was there. And very fortunate for us, after all the events and all the dances were done, ours was selected for a performance in front of the Chief Minister of Delhi. So Delhi directed composite dance. It was presented in front of the chief minister, and very funny incident from that time. One of our props, just like 2 days before the performance, it broke down. So we had just 2 days to recover it, and it was a lot of hassle. It was very hectic, but we made it in time, and we performed in front of Miss
Ateshi.
Atishi, Miss Atishi.
Ateshi. Yes. Huh. Atishi.
Yes, she was there. So we performed in
She
front of
was for
her.
a short period, so
So after our performances were done, it was just, I think it was 25 days of just being there, helping out with the other cadets. And I think that is where the real RDC, took part. It just awakened something in us because after our events were done, like while our events were happening, the cadets from the Kartavya Path and those were for the other events, like the flag area, all of us, we were unified and they helped us move all our stuff. And when it was our turn to help them out, we did not leave anything behind. Like we just put ourselves all in and we helped them out. And that is where the main purpose of RDC comes in because it's not all about, being a solo person just working by yourself. It's all about being a team and as a directorate how we moved forward. So that was that. And for Kartavya Path, when it was finally 26th of January, the main show, we were at Kartavya Path, and after all the parades were done, there was a special highlight from, I think, Indonesia or Thailand. The military forces from there had come. And then at the end, our NCC cadets, the ones we had been working with for so long, the Kartavya Path cadets finally came, and it was such a moment of joy for us. So that summed up the entire hard work and all the sweats that we had been given up. So yeah, it was also worth it at that moment.
this is something which you will never going to forget in your life. No?
Absolutely.
Yeah. मैं आई नो इन दिल्ली देयर आर मेनी स्कूल्स जहाँ पे इस तरीके के इंस्टीट्यूशंस नहीं है बट it should be a part of our curriculum now because बहुत सारी countries में as we know we all know कि बचपन से ही बच्चों को घर की किसी एक कोई एक बच्चा जो है वो डिफेंस लेता है या कहीं कहीं कंट्रीज में कि इट इज कंपल्सरी टू टेक पार्ट इन डिफेंस फोर्सेस फॉर एटलीस्ट 2 years. सो वहाँ से जो आप बन करके आते हैं वो एक अलग ही चीज होते हैं. इसमें एक एडिशन हमारी गवर्नमेंट ने अग्निवीर को भी किया है. सो आई रियली फील प्राउड ऑफ यू एंड वांट टू you know convey my best wishes for you and even congratulations. That's a big thing you have achieved in your life.
Thank you so much, Mom. It means a lot.
Thank you. And because हमारी बहुत सारी बातें जो हैं वो if I say कि being a person from hilly area it's जिसको कहते हैं ना कि एक हार्ट टू हार्ट कनेक्शन वाली भी बात होती है. सो आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू बी बाइस्ड बट आई नो दिस फॉर श्योर कि people from hilly areas are very simpletons and actually they are very good in their nature. But sometimes what happens, life forces you to unlearn many things which you have learned in the past. So how difficult it is for you to unlearn those things which you have uh, learned in your primitive years in your area, Darjeeling. And what does simplicity mean to you? And in today's perspective, how really it sounds to you?
Ma'am, coming from Darjeeling, I think there are a lot of, cultural differences in, being in Delhi, being in Darjeeling. It's quite different. So I think being simple is not all about, just presenting yourself in a simple manner. I think it's more about how you express yourself. Because being simple just doesn't mean being quiet. It means that you're observant, and as you said, as you quoted me, a silent observer. I think it's more about, being expressive, but in a way that isn't offensive, and you're just true to yourself. So I think that is what being simple is all about. It's about being modest. It's about being expressive, but not too loud. And aside from that, what was the other question, ma'am?
The other question was like when you come to these type of situations when life gives you these type of hard experiences, then there are many things you have to what you have learned you have to unlearn those things and you have to accommodate with those situations. So how did you met with these type of incidences, and if yes, then how difficult it was to unlearn those things, those simple daily habits and whatever you can say.
Right, yes, ma'am. I think that's been a major part of my life ever since, I've been here. And the most practical thing that has occurred to me about unlearning things has been my social interactions with people. Because as I came here, I couldn't make a lot of friends, but however many I made, it was mostly because I think the social constructs here in Delhi are far different from those in the hilly areas, right? And
Exactly.
I think it has affected me somehow. And the foundation for me uh, in a social manner has been quite different from what the people there are accustomed to. So that was a practical part in my life. And I think unlearning some habits, unlearning the foundation that you've built yourself on is more difficult than learning new things. Because imagine you have a house and you're living in it, but then you have to make a new house. You can't just build over it. You need to break it down. And I think breaking
Correct.
something down and making it up is more difficult. So yes, unlearning is way more difficult than learning new things.
Correct. But at the same time, there is one more thing, Iris, that Delhi is a cosmopolitan city. It never belongs to a certain caste, culture, or something. It's an amalgamation of, different things. People who comes from South also find this area a very difficult one to survive in their early years. Or if I say people from West culture, like Gujarat and Rajasthanis, they also find it difficult or very different from their own culture. Because as I told, in common slang, it is said कि दिल्ली का ना तो अपना कोई मौसम है और ना ही अपना कोई कल्चर है. अगर पहाड़ों से ठंडी हवा आती है तो ये ठंडा हो जाता है और गुजरात से अगर वेस्टर्न जो हवाएं चलती हैं तो उससे ये गर्म हो जाता है. So, rather than being questioning the culture of Delhi, I guess कि दिल्ली को ही अपने कल्चर में हमें कन्वर्ट करना पड़ता है with the passage of time. And the good part is even that कि when we meet people of different areas, हमें बहुत सारे concepts का और बहुत सारे mental जो blockages हैं उसको खोलने का भी मौका मिलता है.
Absolutely,
And
ma'am. I think
for
it's
yeah.
right. No, ma'am. Please go ahead.
एंड मैं ऐसा इसको इस तरीके से एग्जाम्पलीफाई कर सकती हूँ कि फॉर अ स्टूडेंट द स्कूल वुड बी द बेस्ट प्लेस जहाँ पे आप बहुत सारी चीज़ें, बहुत सारे कल्चर्स, बहुत सारे लैंग्वेजेस के लोगों को एक रूफ के अंदर पाते हैं. तो स्लोली एंड स्टडीली एक बच्चा भी समझ सकता है कि हाउ टू अंडरस्टैंड थिंग्स.
Absolutely, ma'am. I think it's all about interchanging, language, culture, and all that.
So, it is talking about the language part. आप कौन कौन सी लैंग्वेजेस बोलते हो एंड आपके घर में किस तरह कौन सी लैंग्वेज बोलना प्रेफर किया जाता है?
Ma'am, being from Darjeeling, my native mother tongue is Nepali, so I'm fluent in Nepali. And stepping to Delhi, it was natural that Hindi came to me, so I know how to speak in Hindi as well. And English is there. I just picked it up, so yeah, I can speak in English. So there are three languages that I can speak.
So, have you learned any foreign language while studying in school as a third language?
I not a foreign language. I'd say it was I studied Sanskrit for my third language.
So, it's a fourth language which at least you understand it in your till your school days. School,
Yes, ma'am.
So, there are four languages. So, if I say you quickly to sing a song in Nepali, what would be your favorite song?
Ma'am, it's a song that I've listened to since a long time back. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but it's by a band called 1947 AD. It's called Mutu Bhari. Although I don't know the lyrics of the song, but I just feel so connected to it.
Okay, so how do you sing that? Can you please give a little example of it?
Um, okay, yes, I'm sure. Can I pass up the lyrics real quick? I don't
Yeah,
think
sure.
So it goes like Mutu Bhari Bhari Sametine Cha Sabai Kumara Pinanaru. हृदय भारी भारी गुंजी रहा न जा सृजना को ढूंढूं. So those are four lines from that song.
सो इरिस, हमें बचपन से ही अच्छा बनाने की कोशिश की जाती है कि वी शुड बी अ गुड बॉय और अ गुड गर्ल, बट लाइफ में अक्सर हमें उन्हीं चीज़ों को हमारी एक्सपीरियंसेस, हमारे जो फ्यूचर गोल्स है, वो हमें उसे भुलाने के लिए मजबूर भी कर देते हैं. सो आपके लिए ये जो गुड बॉय और गुड गर्ल बनने की जो क्रिया है, वो उसको भुलाना कितना कठिन लगता है तुम्हें, और क्या सादगी से जीवन चलाना बहुत कठिन है? हम्म.
So मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि like at a certain period,
हाँ हाँ,
at
बोलो.
like an extent, till an extent, it's okay कि आपको जैसे जो सिखाया गया है, you follow that. So I think that's okay till a period of time because, when you're young, you don't know how certain things work. So you need to be guided, and it's okay to be guided till that extent of time. लेकिन जैसे जैसे आप आगे बढ़ते जाते हो तो फिर there's new experiences, आप बड़े हो गए, फिर there's school, there's college, there's a life ahead of you. So
हाँ.
you can't get stuck with आपको जो सिखाया गया है. You need to start learning new things क्योंकि आप नए दोस्त बनाओगे, फिर आप आप नए environment में जाओगे तो फिर you can't just keep on relying on what you have learned. You need to venture out and you need to expand your horizons because अगर आप नया सीखना नहीं चाहोगे then how will you adapt to new situations, new environments? So that is my take on how this whole idea of being a good boy or a good girl. It's okay. It's to an extent acceptable because you aren't sent to earth with a lot of wisdom. You are just a young child and you don't know how things work. So I think being guided is really important. But then finding your own way through life, it's way more important than just relying on what you've been taught.
So this thing would not be of your age, but how do you think that at this age, new age parents are, taking care of their children? What is your take into that?
Ma'am, I think as generations move forward and parents are being more Gen Z, as I would say, that expanding their horizons as well. They're thinking in terms of what the new generation thinks. I think them raising their children in accordance to how this generation is going is, I think it's nice. It's a good step towards gentle parenting because you know, like when I was a kid, I used to get a lot of beatings from my mom, and I think it's just to educate me. But
Hmm.
as times come up, I think laying hands on your children. I think nowadays, I think in Western countries, I think it's considered illegal. So
Yeah.
as new times come up, I think ways of parenting would change because I think when I'll be a parent myself, times would have changed by then as of now. So
Hmm.
I think it's gonna be a different scenario then. But I think parenting taking new forms is a good step towards the child's nourishment and how it goes.
So what do you think? What is your idea about, raising your hands on your children? What do you think about that? Was it a cool thing, or is a normal routine practice, or do you condemn it? What is your idea about it?
Absolutely no. I think it should not be a routine practice at all. I think physical abuse of any sort is unacceptable. But at the very same time, while I do condemn it, I think there are certain, times as a child when, like, I think it's necessary for a child to be disciplined, but not in an abusive manner. So as long as it does not cross that boundary, I think it's totally fine for a child to be disciplined. But I think physical abuse of any sort is
Okay, so if you get the chance, then would you be able to say this to your mom as well?
Ma'am, and I think, look, as I've grown up, my mom and I have had more of years of understanding and,
Correct,
we have shared a bond. So I don't think it's something that I should say because I think it comes to her naturally because,
correct.
as parent and child, there's a connection that I don't think anyone else would have. So it's just there. It's just unsaid, but it's there. So yeah.
But off and on, while giving any examples, we can just quote and unquote to our parents. ऐसा करना गलत है ना?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Correct. Because a few months back, I took an interview of a child of a student from Silvassa. So she told me that she was too young and she kept the phone in fridge of her parents. But I was very surprised कि उसको डांट भी नहीं पड़ी और she told me that कि इसके parents ने बस वो फोन देखा खोजा और फिर फ्रिज से बाहर फ्रिज पे मतलब उसको रिंग किया तो फ्रिज में इससे आवाज आई तो मैंने निकाल लिया बट शी वॉज नॉट स्कोल्डेड फॉर दैट तो व्हाट शी टोल्ड मी दैट कि मेरे पेरेंट्स को पता था कि मैं अभी उनकी डांट को भी नहीं समझ पाऊंगी बिकॉज इट विल क्रिएट अ टाइप ऑफ ट्रॉमा इनटू हर तो उसको एकदम ही लेट गो कर दिया एंड उस बारे में उससे उस समय कोई बात ही नहीं की सो आई वॉज मोर सरप्राइज इन टू दैट फैक्ट कि देर आर पीपल अराउंड और सबका सिचुएशंस को टैकल करने का तरीका बहुत अलग है सो आई वॉज टेलिंग हर कि अगर ये हमारी जनरेशन में हुआ होता तो बहुत कुछ हो चुका होता So, it is. So what do you do when you prepare or you make something by yourself emotionally or physically, and suddenly it falls apart? So, what other things do you think कि वो डायरेक्शन में इस तरीके से गलत हो जाती है जिसके कारण से आपका खुद का भी मोरल डाउन होता है?
Ma'am, like अगर मैं किसी चीज में, whether it be physically, emotional, like if I invest my time in it, then
हम्म
I think it's human nature that it just comes naturally to me that I feel sorrow, I feel sad, I want for a moment. But then, for me, जैसे अगर कुछ गलत चला जाता है, for any instance, like I'll take an example. Well, it's not really, like it's not the most apt example, but as I told you, my friend left for Mumbai, and
हम्म
we shared, like she was the only friend that I had in school as when I came to Delhi until
हम्म
now. So seeing her go, it was, it was very sorrowful for me because seeing your only friend go away, it's just very difficult, right? And so that was there, but I think the most important part about investing yourself into whether it be a relation with another person or whether it be something that you're creating with your own hands. The
हम्म
most important part, what I feel, is not reminiscing, but rather looking over what went wrong. Like, let's say you build something with a lot of effort and a lot of time. The most
हम्म
important thing when it all falls down for me, myself, like personally, is I look back to the foundation. I like to go to the roots of it. What exactly went wrong? And why did it go wrong? Because the next time I invest myself into something, I don't want the exact same mistake to happen again. So let's say there was something wrong with the foundation that I laid myself on. So it falls down. It's okay. It's okay to be sad. It's just that the next time you do it again, you just don't repeat that same mistake. So it's more about self improvement rather than just staying stuck with it. So that's my take on how I deal with my problems.
But at the same time, being a human, what I can understand, and you told about your friendship, your friend who has shifted to Mumbai. So there is, I guess, there is little bit of sadness would be there. There would be more sadness, even I would not understand that. But there is one thing which you cannot drift away was like your connection with her. It could be a long distance friendship, long distance, knowing to each other. You are not, totally disconnected from her. So it is up to you that how do you want to take it forward. Connections because कई relationships ऐसे होते हैं कई friendships ऐसी होती हैं even कई हमारे जो relatives होते हैं who are not living with us together तो बहुत दूर होते हैं and उनसे अब कहीं ना कहीं अगर deeply connected होते हैं तो वो connection जब तक आपका heart से नहीं निकलता है तब तक का तो वो आपसे relate करते ही करते हैं. So if you are disappointed on that, I'm just being trying to be a coach or just a simple suggestion कि अगर if you find it a good one, उसको कभी break करने की जरूरत नहीं है till the time you move forward.
Noted, Mama. Absolutely.
So, Iris, what type of person you want to become and what you absolutely refuse to become? And know what, no matter what life throws on you.
Um, Man, this is an interesting question. So, I've been to many places. I have been to many tournaments all throughout India, and I've traveled a lot. So the one thing that I see, which is very common in today's world, is that there's a lack of kindness, and I think there's discrepancies between our own people, because what we fail to do as a community is understand each other, look out for each other. So the ultimate goal that I thought out for myself, that it is whether you become successful or not, whether you achieve the goal, whether you be in uniform or not, whether you be a corporate guy. At the end of the day, I just want myself to be a kind and a humble person who's always there for others. Because at the end of the day, whether it be service to the nation, whether it be service to someone else through not just the uniform, but if I can help out in any way, I think that's the most, that's going to be the biggest accomplishment in my life, because being there for others is, I think that's the greatest thing you can do, being there for someone in times of need. So that is a person I want to become, who's kind, who's humble, who's there for people. And yeah, because if I have the resources, if I have the time on me, then absolutely, I think that's the best use of my time there can be. And a person that I refuse to become, that is someone who's dishonest, and someone who does not, someone who just doesn't think things through. Because whether it be communicating with someone, whether it be, engaging with someone, in terms of business, in terms of friendship, if I'm not considerate enough to think through their feelings and their side of, story, their whatever we communicate, if I'm not through with their side, then I'm not going to be through with mine. So I just don't want to be a dishonest person and someone who does not, go through with things. So yeah.
So, there is one more thing, Iris. As you told that you won't become unkind or dishonest towards other one. But what will happen if you are doing the things from your end every time and things are not coming to you once or twice even when you are in need? So what will be your perception at that time? How you will cope up, though it's a future thing. So if this question comes, so how you will feel about that?
Man, personally, like as a person, what I've observed for myself, quoting that I'm a silent observer. I don't have, I'm not a very patient person. Like I'm a bit impatient. So personally speaking, like truthfully, if I don't see results from something, I tend to back away. But in this case, it's different, because if I'm trying to help someone out, if I'm trying to be there for someone, it's not because I want something in return. It's because I'm being selfless, and it's a trait that I want to possess. So in the near future, as you said, if I'm dealt with such a situation where I'm not getting the response that I want, I think if I'm helping out that person and that person's needs are being fulfilled, but they're not appreciating it, they just don't see it in plain sight, I have no issues with that. Because at the end of the day, it's the outcome and not the result that I want. So that is that.
Correct. That one thing which I have learned in my life is the word detachment. You do your duties and detach yourself from those things. And those expectations should never be there, otherwise, it will make you weak. The person you want to become would be the one, the qualities which you should possess is detachment when you are doing something, as Buddha has done. What he has done, he has, spread the message of peace, love, and everything. But when it comes to him, he detached himself from the society. So, as a person, he tend to become a superpower, a saint, whatever you say, you know.
Right, yes.
So this is one of the quality a person who is kind, I guess. One should that kind person should always have that essence of detachment. So
Absolutely.
expectations should be zero from society or the people around. But finally, we are human beings. One or the other day, we find it bad, but it's okay. We should move on about that.
I guess, that word was lingering in my mind since a very long time. Attachment, because I've learned it the hard way as well. Because, I'm just a 10th grader, but dealing with a lot of situations, I think I have that engraved in me somehow.
That's the thing what I told you, that I gel very well with the hilly people, and my core strength is always comes from hilly areas. Hmm?
Yeah.
So we you yourself have quoted yourself silent observer. What does it mean to you? And silent observer से मतलब ये भी है क्या कि आप किसी के बारे में ओपिनिएटेड होते हो?
I'm not, I think, observing something and judging someone. I think, it's human nature. We cannot deny that
Yeah.
we, naturally judge someone. But I
Hmm.
think there's a fine line between judging someone and, having a personal opinion. Because while I do observe people, my surrounding, my environment, it's just human nature that comes to me that I form an opinion about. But
Hmm.
what separates that from judgment is whether I, speak my opinion out loud to that person, whether it be negative or positive, or whether I keep it to myself and, just base my perception of them as a human on that account. So I think there's a fine line between judgment and opinion. So I think I stand right in between.
So are you a single child or do you have siblings with you?
I'm a single child, but I have a cousin who lives with me and she's in Delhi University.
Okay, because sometimes it is very much compulsory to have a sibling or a very close friend around. Just say up, you can share your ins and outs.
Right, yes, ma'am.
Mhm. So, it is these days have has become a big deal in the schools. So, do you really think that it's generally shaping the perspectives, or it is just an another polishing activity, and how it has influenced you, and what are your you know um, takeaways from MUNs? What you have achieved till yet?
And everyone's, I think, are both. I think they're a mix of both, just the outer polishing and actually major takeaways. Because at the time, I think people who do Model United Nations, the simulations, they do consider some, I think it's become a culture of being performative and they're considered considering themselves elitists. But I think there are major takeaways as well because when you represent a country, when you're a delegate of that country, you need to think like the delegate and you need to research. So I think it improves your capabilities as a researcher, as someone who can speak in public, uh, tackles with your fear of anxiety when it's public speaking. So I think yes, Emulance does both of those things. You get major takeaways as, getting a boost in confidence with your public speaking, with researching and how you present your papers, because, you need to submit formal documents as well. So it has a lot of upsides to it. And I think the issue about it just being a performative extracurricular, it is present. I won't say it's not there. I won't deny it. It is there. But I think the ups and the good parts of it, outweigh the bad ones. Because even if you are doing it just for the title, you're still learning something from it. So that is there. And for me personally, when I first did my, when I did my first MUN, I went as a delegate for the Organization of Islamic Committee, and it was in my own school, but I did not perform well in it at all. So, the next time that I went for an MUN, I found out that there's a separate segment for people who wish to write. So, me being a keen writer, I went for it, and it was called journalism. So, in a model United Nations, there's delegates, and then there's part of international press. So, I was a journalist of the international press for all of the MUNs that I've done. So we basically form reports, we interview the delegates, and then we hold a press conference in which all the delegates that are present, and then we ask them questions regarding their statements and what the committee has been all about. So for me, Environment has personally been, it has molded me and shaped me for the writer that I am now. And I think I still have a long way to go. I won't say I've, accomplished everything, but I think that um, how far I've come. It's all thanks to how I've learned from those MUNs and being a journalist in the MUNs. It's a very different experience as from being a delegate. I've attended, I think, more than 10 MUNs in I think the past 3 years, and the majority of them, I won best delegate and a best journalist and high commendation. And so yes, for me, MUNs has personally shaped my way of writing a lot and the way of research.
So before we wrap up, this would be the last question for today, Iris. Tell me honestly that how does a boy from Hill has is being transformed when he comes to a place like Delhi or city like Delhi? What type of
Um,
changes
um,
have you seen in yourself?
Right, yes, ma'am. So let's begin from the hilly boy that I was. I'd say I was very underconfident, and like being in a small town, you don't get a lot of exposure, and you're certainly not met with a lot of people and a lot of environments. So you're just like a small frog in a small pond, right? So that was me. But then as I came here, I think the most major change that I've seen in myself is that I've become more confident. And if this was back 5 or 6 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to present myself, express myself so freely. But I think the exposure that comes with shifting to a metropolitan city is, it's just the greatest thing ever. Because while there are many, hardships that you have to face, there are a lot more better things that you can learn from being in a city like this. While as we talk about racial slurs, discrimination, all those things are there. But if we measure the goods and the bads, I think the good outweighs the bad. And you know, um, for me, being in Delhi, it's like the biggest opportunity in my life ever because it's a city where there's countless opportunities. Like if we talk about this interview right now, I wouldn't have been able to
Mhm.
be sitting across the screen talking to you about how my life has been. So I think it's full of opportunities, and I really am thankful for it.
So, would you prefer to your fellow people who are living in Darjeeling to come to Delhi and experience the life? What would be your
Uh, I
suggestion?
think I think for the people there, I mean, it's up to them. But I think yes, Delhi is full of opportunities, and there are a lot of other great cities like Bangalore and what the South and PM side. So I think yes, it's a great opportunity for people out there.
Okay. So, this is for today, but we were making it for so, long back. It happened today, and I really thank you for your, quite clear suggestions, quite clear opinions, and I think we have spoken our hearts today, and I hope that you have enjoyed the session as well. I have enjoyed it a
Absolutely,
lot.
I enjoyed it a
So,
lot too.
thank you, Riz. And ladies and gentlemen, we will try to catch more students, more people, and more pin codes. And हम देश के कई बच्चों तक पहुंचने की कोशिश करेंगे. हमारी कोशिश सिर्फ इंडिया में नहीं, विदेशों के स्टूडेंट से भी जो इंडियन ओरिजिन के हैं उनसे बात करने की है और हम उनसे आपको रूबरू करवाते रहेंगे. गांवों, कस्बों, शहरों और देश के हर कोने से मिलकर के एक देश बनता है. वहाँ के किसी भी लेवल का बच्चा जो अपने को आगे बढ़ाने की कोशिश कर रहा है, जीवन में कुछ उपलब्धियां हासिल की है, वो खुद भी चाहे तो हमें कांटेक्ट कर सकता है. हमारा ईमेल आईडी है ctyindia25@gmail.com. हमारी कम्युनिटी से भी आप जुड़ सकते हैं थ्रू आवर व्हाट्सएप चैनल. एंड ये ज़रूर होगा कि हम आपको आपकी क्वेरीज का जवाब देंगे और आपको ईमेल आंसर भी करेंगे. तो हमसे जुड़ने की कोशिश कीजिएगा और हमारे जवाब का इंतज़ार भी कीजिएगा. तो आज के लिए काफ़ी हमारी बातें हो चुकी हैं और अब टाइम है आपसे इजाज़त लेने का. और इस आपसे भी सो जल्दी मुलाकात होगी फिर एक नए स्टूडेंट के साथ, इनस जैसे एक नए होनहार और सिंपल बच्चे के साथ जिसके अंदर बहुत सारी फ्यूचर प्लान्स हैं. एंड आई जस्ट होप कि एवरी प्लान शुड सक्सीड एंड यू शुड सी योरसेल्फ वेयर यू वांट टू. माय बेस्ट विशेस टू यू एंड फ्रॉम आवर टीम एज वेल इट इज. और अपना विशेष ख्याल रखिएगा. एंड टू ऑल ऑफ यू, इट्स ओवर फॉर टुडे एंड टेक केयर ऑफ योरसेल्फ. बाय बाय.